What is up, everybody? Welcome into this Tuesday episode of Flippin Bats, which means we got a lot of good stuff for you today. One up and one down coming at you. One thing or player or team that's on the rise and one going in the opposite direction. We got Name That Team as well, starting pitching edition, as well as Honesty Hour. And I'm going to tell you, I really like my Honesty Hour this week. And I think there's going to be some people that completely disagree, but also people that agree. We'll see. But I'm passionate about it. Name That Team. Twitter questions. One up, one down. Honesty Hour. This one's going to be a blast. Let's get to it.
It's a blowout. 8th inning, 10-3. Bases are loaded for Verlander, who waits on a 3-0 pitch. He swings, and it's a high fly ball. Deep center field. It is gone. Home run. And a huge bat flip to celebrate. All right, Ben, start the show already.
What is up, my friends? Happy Tuesday. It's the first of 2 Tuesday episodes this week, and Shohei Ohtani news will release later in the day. But Alex, I'm excited because, as I mentioned, I don't know if you know it yet, but my Honesty Hour, I'm going to come in hot today. I have some thoughts.
I'm
This will
excited.
be good.
I kind of know your Honesty Hour, but not fully because I like to be surprised. I also want an honest reaction to what you're going to say.
That's what I want.
I don't want to overthink it.
That's what I want.
So I didn't fully look into it.
Okay.
Yeah. You know what else I'm looking forward to?
What?
Tonight, the Braves and the Mets
Ooh.
start their big series.
That is a big series.
This is big, especially because the Mets just got swept by the Blue Jays, and they are 5.5 games back behind the first place Braves with the Miami Marlins in the middle there. What?
Honestly, hearing 5.5 back with how the Mets have played isn't bad. You would think it'd be
take that positive side
especially
of things.
with how the Braves were playing at the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
To where it is now. You know, the Braves lost a series to the A's.
Yeah.
So they haven't been firing on all cylinders either. So the Mets are okay.
Yeah.
But man, they have not been playing well.
No.
Obviously, like you said, got swept by the Blue Jays. Series is in Atlanta. So this is
going to favor the Braves. And the
This is a
Braves have
big
been
series.
good.
they've been. I mean, the series of the D-backs, they were good. I love the D-backs. You know that. D-backs have been good. Braves won that series. So this is, I know it's June. It's early June.
It doesn't
but a
matter.
big series.
When it's a divisional matchup and these are two teams that are usually battling it down to the last week of the season. It literally came down to they were playing each other in one of the last series of the season last year, and that determined who finished in first place. So these are the big ones that matter, especially when it's a divisional rival, because it's almost like you win 2 games when you beat them. Because they go down, you go up. It's going to be great.
They're always fun series. They're always good.
Well, speaking of up and down, let's get into our one up, one down this week. Ben, we're starting with you. Who's your up?
My up this week is the Pittsburgh Pirates.
Ooh, okay. Tell me
I've
more.
had them earlier in the year when they were playing hot, and I feel like everybody just thought the Pirates fell off a cliff and now they're not any good anymore. Well, guess what? They sweep the Cardinals. They're now 31-27. They had won 5 games in a row entering the new week. They're just outside of first place, looking good. Mitch Keller's been one of the best pitchers in baseball all year long. David Bednar and Colin Holderman have been one of the best back end of a bullpen in all of baseball. The Buccos are playing good baseball. They're my one up. 5 in a row. Don't sleep on the Pirates. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
What about yours?
That's fair.
Yeah.
I just kind of mentioned my one up. My one up are the Miami Marlins.
Ooh.
And you know why? They're sitting pretty in second place right now in the NL East, just below the Braves. They are 3 games out of first place behind the Braves. And they're above the Mets and the Phillies, who were both extremely favorable teams heading into this season. Obviously, both have underperformed up until this point, but they're 7-3 in their last 10 games. Luis Arraez hit .545 last week, the best batting average in Major League Baseball. Even Sanchez hit .462, tied for 6th best in Major League Baseball last week. Miami has a lot of potential. They have a lot of great young players, but they also have a core group of established guys who have proven themselves, who have won big awards. They have the batting title in Luis Arraez. They have the reigning Cy Young winner in Alcantara, who had a great kind of comeback to his outing in Sunday's game. But yeah, Miami's my up this week.
I like it. We talked about them in Monday's episode, and I'm a big fan of what this team is doing. And you talk about how good their pitching rotation is. Sandy Alcantara has been their worst pitcher this year.
Which
you
is
know
crazy.
That's going to turn. Like, the guy's dominant.
Yeah.
He's going to be great. I truly believe he's going to figure it out. And I don't, I use the term worst rather, I don't know if he's literally been their worst, but of their like 3 or 4 good starters in that rotation, he hasn't been very good. And you have to believe that's going to turn around. And then you add to that the Yuri Perez's of the world, the Edward Cabreras, who have shown that they can be dominant.
Mm-hmm.
On top of, you have a guy like Luis Arraez, who's a big average guy. He's not going to hit a ton of homers. But then Jorge Soler hit 12 homers in May. Like, I feel, I like him.
Yeah.
I like your answer.
Thank you.
I'm equally as passionate, Alex, about my one down.
Who's your one down?
I am down on the St. Louis Cardinals. This team has no fight. There is no fight to this Cardinals team. Now, I'm not one to call for jobs, really, but we really need to consider what Ali Marmol is to this team and if he has a future as the manager of this St. Louis Cardinals team. They've lost 7 of their last 10 games entering the new week. They were swept by the Pittsburgh Pirates. They're in dead last place in the NL Central. This is bad. The start to their year is historically bad. They haven't been this bad through 60 games since 1995.
Oof.
1995. They haven't been as bad since then. Joe Torre was their manager that year. Gas prices, Alex, $1.38. The number 1 song was Water Runs Dry by Boyz II Men. Batman Forever was the number 1 movie in theaters. And Pedro Martinez was on the Montreal Expos still.
No.
It has been that long since the Cardinals have been this bad through their first 60 games of the season. The front office has been abysmal, and it's not just this year. To me, you got to step back a couple of years, and where this really started rearing its head, for me, Mike Shildt and the way they handled that situation when he was their manager. Mike Shildt was in the Cardinals organization for 18 years. He worked his way up from being a scout in the Cardinals organization to being the manager of the St. Louis Cardinals. He was fired after the 2021 season, which was historic for the St. Louis Cardinals. They had a historic 17-game winning streak, the longest in franchise history, which got them into the playoffs that year. They made the playoffs for 3 straight years. Mike Shildt was running that team and running it well. He was NL Manager of the Year finalist after the 2021 season, and he was fired. He got fired after being an NL Manager of the Year finalist. 3 consecutive years in the playoffs, 252 and 199 was his record. Fired over philosophical differences. Philosophical differences is why he was fired. This is what Mike Shildt had to say after his firing. He said this last year. I have a broken heart. It still hurts. It hurts bad. When it first happened, I broke down. I was inconsolable. I got better as time went on. Then I got down here, put on a Padres uniform, and it hit me. Now it just hit me again. He also said there were just some things that I felt could be better, and I thought I was in a safe place to share them. Clearly, I wasn't. So he vocalized some things to the team, to the front office that he felt could be better, and he was fired over that. Over philosophical differences. Are you kidding me? He was fired for not being a puppet for the organization down on the field. That's ridiculous. Now fast forward to this season. This season starts with the Tyler O'Neill situation, where Ali Marmol felt like he wasn't hustling hard enough. So what did he do? He called him out publicly. Publicly. Tyler O'Neill was frustrated by that situation and voiced as much to the media, like, hey, you could have brought that to me. Ali Marmol doubled down publicly with this entire situation. Ridiculous. The terrible mishandling of the Jordan Walker situation where he was having a good start to his career and then they just send him down. Send him back down to the minor leagues, which guess what? Oh, by the way, they called him back up and now he's going to play enough time this year to just barely not play enough games to still have an extra year of rookie eligibility. Shocker. Cardinals handling that situation in a typical way. They put the entire blame for the pitching staff and the rotation on Wilson Contreras, your $90 million new signing. You put all the blame on him and move him out of the catcher position. The St. Louis Cardinals are a proud organization with a great track record for winning. And I just feel like this current front office is tearing it down in the name of analytics and having control over what's down on the field. Sure, analytics are great, but at some point, you have to have some feel. Mike Schilt had feel. Jordan Walker was getting results. The pitching staff clearly wasn't the answer. But in the name of analytics, we're changing all of that. This team is extremely talented and more than capable of winning in a weak NL Central. But it just feels like they're going through the motions. This is unacceptable out of the St. Louis Cardinals. They are my one down.
I felt that.
It's
I know.
So frustrating.
It's especially when a team has pieces to be successful.
And you felt like they were turning it around.
We've talked
in
about
May.
it coming into the season.
Yeah. Into the season, you feel like, a couple of years ago, I'm wearing his shirt. They had Nolan Arenado. Nolan Arenado just pretty much falls into their laps. Mm-hmm. What were the Rockies doing? I don't know. I have no idea. But all I know is the Cardinals ended up with Nolan Arenado and somehow an extra $50 million because of the whole situation. Falls into your lap. And then, up and down and up and down, and then a really bad start to this year. And then in May, it appeared they kind of started to figure it out and turn it around. Well, then end of May, early June, just more of mediocrity and bad. Swept by the Pirates. I watched their game the other day. They're going through the motions. And to me, when you see a team in the middle of the year just going through the motions, a manager is a big part of that.
It's everything.
Yeah.
You got to have someone who's going to step up and not only be the voice and the leader on the field, but in the clubhouse and in the dugout. Who's doing that for them? And you got to buy in. You got to believe in your leader.
Yep.
It's tough.
All right. They are my one down. Alex, who is your one down?
So my one down, this does not bring me any joy because I really dislike talking down about my teams. And a team that I love and a team that I believe in. My one down this week are the Angels. With everything they have on the line this season to try to keep Shohei Ohtani and a position they need to put themselves in to continue to stay in the fight for the postseason and to get to the playoffs, which is how you are going to be able to keep Shohei Ohtani. You can't have these stretches where you go 3-7 over the last 10 games. You fall behind the two Texas teams in your division who are red hot right now, especially a divisional matchup against Houston this weekend where you lose 3 of 4 to the Astros. They're currently in third place, 8.5 out of first place in the AL West, 4.5 games out of the wild card spot behind the entire AL East. Meaning, if you want to snag a wild card spot and make a playoff run, and you want to keep Ohtani, you need to be winning more series than
a lot of AL East teams.
You got to, all of them. You have to jump all of them. And just this past week, their offense struck out 69 times. That's the second most in the majors. They hit just 188 with runners in scoring position, and no team struck out more with runners in scoring position than the Angels this past week. So they're not taking advantage of the opportunities. That's where you need to capitalize. If you want to keep Shohei Ohtani, and I know the entire Angels organization and the fan base will do anything to keep him, you got to win. And you can't have these bad stretches.
Yeah.
That's my down.
I agree. They are striking out way too much. And it's funny because I ended up having a discussion about this on Twitter over the last couple of days because somebody tweeted out the Baseball Savant page for Luis Arraez, which is, you see the red and where they rank, the red and the blue, and where they rank in terms of the analytics and stuff, and Luis Arraez has a lot of blue, but really he's in the 100th percentile in whiff percentage, balls in play, and expected batting average on balls in play, but towards the bottom in terms of exit velocity and all that stuff. And I tweeted this out. I tweeted, the game of baseball is funny. You put the ball in play, you don't strike out, and you don't swing and miss, good things tend to happen. And a lot of the responses ended up being like, show this to the Angels, please. Yeah. Because a lot of, like the game of baseball really has changed a lot over the last couple of years, where not even the last couple of years, the last decade. And I don't disagree with it to a degree, but we got to the point where it's all exit velocity, all launch angle. And look, the end of my career was even the same way. And I went to a hitting coach that was the same way. And I felt like my swing was a million times better. And I totally understand it. But there also is a degree still to, look, cut down on strikeouts, put the ball in play, don't swing and miss. And when you put the ball in play, good things tend to happen, especially now this year with the rule changes and the defenders playing in certain places. Put the ball in play, good things happen. Luis Arraez does not hit the ball hard. I think he's in like the 30th percentile for exit velocity, but he's batting around 400. I mean, put the ball in play, good things happen. And certainly over the last week, the Angels have not been doing that, and the results have not been good.
Yeah, it's
I agree
tough.
with you.
And it's tough because I think we both obviously follow the team with Shohei Ohtani and Trout, and I worked with them for 10 years, so they have a big place in my heart. You don't want to talk down on your teams, but they got to figure this out.
I want them to be good for the reason that I think all baseball fans I want Mike Trout in the playoffs.
He deserves.
I want Shohei Ohtani in the playoffs.
He deserves to be in the playoffs.
They are two of the biggest stars in the game, and we don't get to watch them on the biggest stage because the team constantly. You remember that stretch they went on last year? They lost 2 weeks worth of games straight.
Brutal.
More. I mean, it was remarkable, and they just tend to go on these streaks, and that can't happen.
You can't.
So I want to see Shohei and Mike Trout in the playoffs because the game of baseball deserves that. But as of right now, we are again not looking at that.
No. Well, let's keep things honest because it's time for Honesty Hour.
Oh, baby.
Ben, let's get in the trust tree. What are we talking about today?
Hop on in, my friends. I am going to have a lot of people that do not agree with me here.
Okay.
But I also think people will agree with me. But I have seen enough. Enough is enough. We need to see the double base at first base.
Like an expanded base?
Like an expanded base.
Like the normal base and then the same
Put
thing
another
on
one
the
in,
other side.
you know where we see this? In softball.
Yeah.
We need to take this from softball, and a lot of people are going to disagree. I don't care. This is what we need. I have seen enough. This play, if you're watching, Royce Lewis on Sunday.
Terrifying.
Honestly, be cautious watching this. It was awful. Royce Lewis has had 2 season-ending surgeries, season-ending injuries. He's now come back. He's been great for the Twins. Play down the third baseline. He's running down to first. Hits the base. The first baseman has to catch it a little awkwardly. Footwork not great there from the first baseman. A guy that doesn't play a ton of first base. They end up colliding. Royce Lewis flips over the first baseman and literally lands upside down on his neck. It was gruesome. It is awful to even watch. A play that could be avoided with this. And also, Alex, I talked about this last week. The base path line, the 45-foot foul territory base path, that whole rule where you have to be in the, what do you call it? The 45-foot lane.
Yeah.
You have to be in the lane from the 45-foot mark on, which is in foul territory. However, first base is in fair territory. So you can't get hit if you're running straight down the line. You can't get hit in the back with the baseball because you'll be out. You have to be in that 45-foot lane, but you have to come back over to fair territory to touch the base. We saw it in the Tigers game. And I think that needs to change. This could all be alleviated by extending the base into foul territory. All of it. You reduce injuries. You reduce that dumb play where you can just get hit in the back with a baseball by running straight to first. And if you're an inch into the grass, guess what? You're out. Oh boy, great. No, this could alleviate all of that. But this is the reason. The Royce Lewis play on Sunday is the reason I'm saying enough is enough. And anyone that doesn't like this simply doesn't like it because they have it in softball. And to that, I say, grow up. Why would we not do this? This makes so much sense. Get rid of the injuries. Get rid of the 45-foot lane rule. I mean, it'll still be there, but you have an easy reason to run in the foul lane. This needs to happen. There's no reason for it to not happen. And honesty hour, double base, extend the base into foul territory. It alleviates all of it.
I agree with you 110%.
Yes.
I have seen way too many injuries with two players running to first base, whether it's a pitcher running to catch the ball.
That play, too. Yeah.
One of the Garrett Richards, it's like,
Oh, yeah.
it's
I remember
burned
this.
into my brain, the scream that he made when he completely destroyed his knee by running and trying to get to first base. It's just such an awkward encounter. If there's any way that you can change something to prevent future injuries that isn't going to affect the game, why wouldn't you do it?
Yeah. Just also thinking out loud here, like, you know, take it from a guy that has rolled over to a lot of balls to the left side of the infield and tried to run down and beat it out at first and just to be out by a step or two. Did it a lot of times, but every time you run down to first, if it's not a perfect throw, you worry about stepping on the first baseman's Achilles.
Yep.
You worry about them jumping and running into their arm. I also played a lot of first base professionally. I have a torn left labrum. My shoulder popped out one time because I had to do that play where you have to jump off the base, catch it, and try and swipe tag the runner. Went to tag. My shoulder I almost lost my arm. My shoulder just completely popped out. It's just a dangerous situation that we can fix. You know, like, I shouldn't have to worry about stepping on the first baseman's Achilles and really endangering them and their career because I'm trying to beat out an infield hit. I shouldn't have to worry about any of that because I should have the ability to just touch the base in a spot that is much, much safer and not a ton going on.
What's the downside of extending the base? That's, I guess, my question here. What would be the argument?
That's my point.
Why wouldn't you do it?
That's my point. I mean,
it's not going to affect the runner being able to get to the base faster. It's not going to affect, it's not going to give an advantage, I think, to either player.
No.
Would it? It would just prevent injuries.
I agree.
That's it.
Look, I agree. And when this Royce Lewis play happened,
I can't even watch it.
I tweeted.
I can't even watch it.
I
It's
tweeted
so,
as a reply to that video. I should have put like a caution because it is bad. I tweeted as a reply, enough is enough. We need the extended base. And I feel like the only people that do disagree and are passionate about it, it's because it's in softball. And seriously, grow up.
No,
Grow up. Alex has some thoughts, but I don't think she's going to.
Don't even get me started on those people, because they comment on my stuff daily, and all women in sports. So, you know, guys, just go sit down. Just go sit down.
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't see a reason why we wouldn't have it. And I just think over the last 2 weeks, I have been very passionate about two separate plays, right? The 45-foot lane and the runner getting hit in the back while pretty much running straight down the line. We've seen that a few times over the last few years. And then this play was with Royce Lewis, which leads to, why not? Just do it.
Yep.
Like, there's really no downfall to it.
Yeah.
So
I'm with you. That was a good one.
Thank you.
That was a good one. All right.
Ooh.
You know what that means.
Yeah.
Time for your favorite game.
It's good timing on that music.
Yeah.
Maybe that's a good sign.
Time for Name That Team.
All right, did I go 1 for I went 1 for 3 last week.
Yeah.
This
that's
is
okay.
rotation edition.
This is still rotation.
Okay.
So I'm going to give you 1 through 5 where the pitcher was either drafted out of high school, college, or the country that they signed out of.
Okay.
Are you ready for team number 1?
I am ready. Let's do this.
All right.
I need to be better than last week.
Team number 1, Japan, high school out of California, UCLA, Oregon, and University of Louisville. Name that team.
Angels.
Yeah.
1 for 1.
I was like, he's gonna know because it's Shohei. And then, like,
we've talked because there are other aces that are from Japan.
Yeah.
But Tyler Anderson knew Oregon.
Yeah.
Patrick Sandoval I knew as a high school guy in California.
Okay.
So
All
context clues plus got there
that might have been
quickly.
your fastest one yet.
Yeah, that was pretty fast.
You're making up for last week.
I never, for the TikTok crew, we always put these out on social media. Like,
Yeah.
that's not going to give them much time.
No, not
You
at
know.
all. You're going to have to, like, a couple seconds later, like, just kind of expand it.
A few seconds later.
Thank you.
SpongeBob.
Yep. All right.
Okay.
You were picking up what I was putting down.
Yep.
All right. Ready for team number 2. Dominican Republic. Stenson University. Is it Elon? Elon. Thank you. Oh. Elon University. Gonzaga and Texas A&M. Name that team.
Okay.
Yeah?
Well,
What do you think?
Alex, for this one,
Yeah.
because there's a lot of Dominican Republic aces in the league. So
Okay.
for this one, let's take a step back
Okay.
to a friend of the pod from last year.
Oh, so you know what it is. You're just
Oh, I
dragging
know.
it out. Okay.
I know.
Okay.
Friend of the pod from last year, Logan Gilbert. You know where he went to school? Stetson. Give me the Seattle Mariners.
Yep.
Let's go.
Good work.
Luis Castillo, Logan Gilbert, George Kirby, Elon, Marco Gonzalez, Gonzaga. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Bryce Miller, Texas A&M. All right, this is good. 2 for
You're
2.
doing good.
Can I go 3 for 3?
Can you go 3 for 3?
The first 2 I've gotten pretty quickly.
You knew him right away.
I had to drag that one down.
I know you didn't want to do it again. All right, hey.
What?
Okay. Team number 3. St. Mary's College, Indiana State, high school out of Oklahoma, Columbia, and Dominican Republic. Name that team. Are you like playing me again? Like, do you
No.
know it? Okay.
No. I don't know. Columbia, I feel like the Columbia pitcher pitched in the World Baseball Classic. Shoot. Nah, this one's tough. Dominican into the rotation. Columbia. 20 seconds.
Let me know if you want a hint in front of friend.
No, I don't want to hit.
Okay.
God, I feel like I'm close.
10 seconds.
Perez is Columbia, but it's not him. St. Mary's, Indiana State.
Let's
High school
go.
out of Oklahoma.
Let's go.
I don't know it.
Ace was in the news a lot before the season. All right, Milwaukee Brewers.
Oh, okay.
That was going to be my... Would you have gotten that with that hint?
Probably not.
Okay.
Probably not. That was a tough one.
All right.
All right, 2
That's
for
okay.
3.
Not bad.
Pretty
Pretty good.
good.
I'll
I'll go B+.
B+, yeah, because you got the first 2 so fast.
Great.
Yeah. All right, before we wrap things up, we got some Twitter questions.
Great. Love these.
You ready?
Yep.
Our first one comes from Big Texas Guy. With the Rangers and Astros both playing so well, is there any kind of Texas rivalry there?
First off, gotta love Big Texas Guy asking about 2 Texas teams. Just a big Texas guy. Rangers and Astros both playing so well. Is there any kind of Texas rivalry there? This is an interesting question because my mind goes to no.
Yeah.
Like it just doesn't feel like a rivalry, in part because the Astros have been so good for so long and the Rangers haven't been good for a while. But now, maybe that's starting to change.
Okay.
And there is like a name for their series when they play each
What
other,
is it?
the Lone Star series.
Okay.
And you can win the silver boot at the end of the year when you win more games. But that's kind of all there is to the rivalry to this point. But this year, like
Maybe.
I feel like to start a rivalry, like to really kick off a rivalry, you need what happened last year in the playoffs with Padres-Dodgers,
Yeah.
where the Padres finally took that step and beat them when it mattered the most.
Yeah.
What have the Rangers done to like upset the Astros over the last, however
Nothing.
long?
They would also have to beat them
They
in
have
the
to
postseason.
right, or beat
Yeah.
them win the division.
No, I think it has to be like you knock them out.
Yeah,
It's a knocking out situation.
I don't disagree.
Yeah.
I just think if the Rangers can win the AL West this year, really, like over the last 5 years, they've kind of been like the laughing stock where they haven't been good. And then they spend $500 million on Marcus Semien and Corey Seager. And the talk becomes, for what? You guys are still going to stink. And then they go out and get Jacob deGrom and Nate Eovaldi, who's been fantastic. And guess what? Oh, by the way, they're, as of yesterday in my power rankings, the second best team in the game of baseball right now. Like, this team is the real deal. If they can win the division and do some damage in the playoffs, because they might not play each other in the playoffs.
Yeah.
If they can do some damage, win the division, take it from the Astros, win the AL, the American League has run through the Astros. So maybe they won't face each other in the playoffs, but I'll add on this on top of you, because I do agree, either beat them in the playoffs or take away that Astros AL championship series stretch that they're on right now. 6 in a row. If that becomes the Rangers and they win, then guess what? Then we have a rivalry on our hands. But as of right now, I will say no.
That's fair. Okay. All right, our next Twitter question from Seth Green also has to do with the AL West. Are you still picking the Astros to win the AL West?
I will still pick it. I will still pick them because...
You don't think Texas is gonna hold on to this?
I believe in the Rangers.
Yeah.
I really believe in the Astros as well. Again, it's the Astros to lose, and they're playing really good baseball still. So you look up right now, and in the division's fairly close with the Rangers playing like on a different planet. Yeah. So the Astros are still right on their heels while not starting off this season very well. The Astros are one of the best teams in baseball. The American League still runs through the Houston Astros. The American League West still runs through the Houston Astros. Do not get it twisted. But I do believe in the Rangers.
Okay.
I think they make the playoffs.
That's fair. I definitely think they make the playoffs.
Yeah.
All right, moving on to our third Twitter question. This one comes from Double Player. Thoughts on Lindor's struggles and Mets getting swept by the Blue Jays?
I'm a little disappointed in Francisco Lindor right now. Not because of struggles. Struggles happen, right? The reason I'll say this is because I watched a game. I watched the Sunday game. Lindor is obviously struggling. He struck out 3 times on Sunday, struck out 8 times in the series against the Blue Jays, taking pitches right down the middle, 4 strike 3. But you know what? That happens, and it's baseball. And a lot of those couch experts will sit at home and yell at Lindor because we're paying you all this money and you're not any good. Well, guess what? He doesn't want to struggle, obviously. He's going to be fine. I do believe that. He's Francisco Lindor. The reason I'm a little bit frustrated, I watched the game on Sunday. He got a hit out to center field off the end of the bat, ends up staying in the air for a while. Dalton Varsho can't quite catch that out in center field. Francisco Lindor, who has some speed, should have been on second base, and he ends up on first. So right now, what I see with Lindor is he's going through it a little bit, and it's affecting every facet. He's still playing good defense, but man, he should have had a double, and those things affect the game. That game ends up being really close between the Blue Jays. You have what should have been a double. Lindor's not hustling. That's not like him. He should have been standing on second base there. I think these struggles are affecting him as well as the New York Mets. The Mets go as Lindor goes. That's just the cold, hard truth. He's the guy. He drives in the runs, and you have tons of other good players on the team that can do tons of different things, right? Like Jeff McNeil is the batting title winner. He's going to get on base. He's going to hit for a high average. Pete Alonso is the home run guy. He's going to hit for homers. Lindor is the guy that you have on the huge contract that you need to be the heart and soul of the team. And when Francisco Lindor is going well, the entire team is going well. And that's why I think to this point, we haven't seen the New York Mets play very good baseball. And guess what we've seen? We've seen Pete Alonso leading the league in home runs. We've seen McNeil at times hitting for a very high average. Still, average is up there. It's Lindor to me that needs to be the piece that is the leader of this team, hits for a high power, hits for high average, steals some bases, plays great defense. He's Mr. Smile. He's the face of this Mets team, and he needs to be the one to turn it around. And right now, I think his struggles at the plate are leaking over into other aspects of his game. So I'm a little bit disappointed in that aspect. But, yeah, what was the rest of that question? Did I answer the whole question?
You did. It was fair. Thoughts on Lindor's struggles. You gave that. Mm-hmm. And then Mets getting swept by the Blue Jays.
Yeah, bad.
Yeah,
bad sweep. Justin pitched in that series lost 1-0 on Friday. The offense has just been anemic.
Well, you said the Mets are going to do as Lindor does. And if Lindor's struggling, it's tough. All right, let's get to our final Twitter question. And I like this one. This is from Lakers and 8. Will Artie Moreno actually let Ohtani walk without getting anything for him? And would this be the worst mistake in the history of baseball, considering the haul Ohtani could bring? It's so complicated and it's so twisted.
So the question in itself is asked in a complicated manner. I totally agree. But saying, will Artie Moreno let Shohei walk without getting anything? Well, if you get to pass the trade deadline without letting Shohei go, then you're going to lose him in free agency.
Yeah.
So is that specifically Artie Moreno's fault for not trading him at the deadline to get something? I think with this current Angels team, there is a lot of blame to place on Artie Moreno for the way he's gone about things over the last however many years you want to put. I do think, to answer the question, I guess, perfectly, is I do think Artie Moreno is going to let Shohei go without getting anything, because I don't believe he's going to get traded at the trade deadline. And that's the only way you're going to get anything for him at this point. If you're going to stick with this team, and I do believe he's going to stick with it, though they're around the 500 mark, if you're going to stick with this team through the trade deadline, you're not going to get anything for Shohei when and if he walks in free agency. And he will have... Who's going to blame him? Who's going to blame him? If Shohei leaves in free agency, who's going to blame him? Not Angels fans. They'll be the first to say, you know what? I get it.
You deserve.
Go win. You deserve
that.
And it's so frustrating, but I truly believe we are going to see... I do believe Artie Moreno is going to let him walk. I don't think anything's going to be done at the trade deadline, and I don't think Moreno is going to fork over the cash or do what needs to be done with the team to retain Shohei. At this point, for Shohei to stay with the Angels, I don't think it would be high offer wins. I think it would be, you need to show me a willingness to win and do the right thing with this team. And has he done that over the last decade? I say no. I think I think we're going to see Shohei on a different team next year.
I do too, and it breaks my heart for Angels fans and the Angels organization, because they could get an entire farm system and a star player for Shohei Ohtani, and they could turn this team around. But we've, as you mentioned, the last decade, we've seen it with Trout. He signed a huge, massive deal and still to this day says, I believe in this team and I want to bring a championship to Anaheim and I want to win for the Angels, but it hasn't been able to happen, and it hasn't even gotten close. Hasn't even gotten close.
I agree. The big contracts with this team, I want to specify, are not the problem.
No.
It's just the big contracts to the wrong players at the wrong time. You know, like Mike Trout's massive long contract, great. Like, yeah, believe in your players, do it. If they're able to do it with Shohei, I think we can all admit, great. Albert Pujols, a massive decade-long contract when he's already in his 30s? I love Albert Pujols, the player. I grew up watching Albert. But that tells you something. I grew up watching Albert.
Yeah.
When he's in his 30s is probably not the time for a decade-long, extremely expensive contract. And those contracts set the organization back years and years and years. And I'm hopeful Anthony Rendon isn't becoming one of those, but we need Anthony Rendon on the field. So long contracts, fine, but you got to do them the right way. And I don't know if Shohei is going to be one of those long contracts with the Angels.
Yeah. He will get a long contract, and he will get, what, half a bill? At least.
Yeah, at least half a bill.
It's going to be insane.
So shout out for those questions, especially Lakers in 8. That's a great name. Lakers in 8. Do they still have a chance, Alex? Your Lakers. Could they win in 8? How's that
Rub it in. Rub it in.
All right, my friends, that does it for this first Tuesday episode. There will be 2 today, this week in Shohei Ohtani news. What a great week. A lot to talk about in that episode as well. That comes out later in the day on Tuesday. So if it's already later in the day, go listen to that one as well. But until Wednesday, this does it, my friends. Thank you all for listening. Make sure you subscribe anywhere you listen to your podcast, Apple, Spotify, wherever. We're also on all social media, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and you can watch everything we do on YouTube as well, at Flippin Bats Pod for all of them. Thank you for listening, my friends. Until next time, this has been another episode of Flippin Bats. Peace.